Hello, ngHouston. We are going to have so much fun tonight because we have Alyssa, Nicoll. We have Mean Stack Girls, which is kind of a play on the movie, which we thought was funny. It was hilarious when we came up with it. Anyway, Alyssa's going to talk about the Mean Stack. But first, I want to introduce our panel tonight. Let's start with Bren. Hi, Bren.
Hey, Bonnie. What's up? So I'm Bren. I'm a pretty fresh coder, so a newbie. So I'll be here to ask all the stupid questions.
That's awesome. We love questions. Thanks for joining us. And Carolyn, say hi, Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn. I'm also pretty new to programming, so I am really looking forward to learning a lot tonight.
It's awesome. Well, thanks for coming. And Samantha, you guys know Samantha. Say hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Where's your... Oh, I didn't see your camera. Okay, so we also have Joe Eames, who is our resident expert, just in case anybody has really advanced questions, even though this is a beginner talk. We have Joe, the heavy hitter, in there. And for once tonight, we're turning the development world on its ear because Joe is completely outnumbered. We got all the girls here. So, Joe, you want to say hi?
Hey, everybody.
There you go. There's Joe. Okay, and then we have our guest star, Alyssa Nicoll. Hello, Alyssa.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. I'm a web developer and I'm on Twitter. So if you want to talk to me afterwards or ask me questions, my DM is always open.
Awesome. And Samantha and I just found out earlier today that Alyssa is going to Frontend Connect in Poland in September, and we're also going to Frontend Connect, and we are so excited because hopefully we can get on the same flight and we're going to have so much fun. It's
yeah,
gonna be
Bonnie
crazy.
was like, so I heard you're going to Frontend Connect, and I was like, yeah, and she's like, I am too. And I was like, the one in Poland? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? So yeah, it was great. It was great.
We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be awesome. All right, Alyssa, are you ready to teach us about Mean Stack? What is going on with the Mean Stack?
I will do my very best. So do I screen share or do you screen share for me?
You screen share. I'm just going to put it on you and you can screen share and tell us all the cool stuff. Teach us how to do this.
Entire screen and let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the glorious ngDoc, which currently, if we go to ngdoc.io, it's going to load. And so this is the unofficial Angular docs, which the wonderful Joe Eames invited me to jump on this project. It was before ngConf this year, and he asked me, he knew that I was giving a talk about giving Bootstrap the boot. And so he's like, hey, will you give Bootstrap the boot in my project? And so as much as I can, I've been trying to work on it and make it look beautiful. But I've also recently started asking questions more about the other letters in mean. So yes, so I just wanted to show it off a bit. Do you guys have any questions at this point? How many of you have actually heard of ngDoc? None? No, I actually can't see it. So if you're shaking your heads, I can't.
Sorry, I raised my hand, but I think I was muted. Yeah, I've actually used it. Huh?
Only one hand raised. We got to spread the word.
I have actually used ngDoc, and it's pretty slick, I got to tell you.
So it's this really cool resource because, it's all unofficial and whatnot, where if you're looking for hey, I want to learn about animations, and then we're enter. And it's going to show you based on, because obviously there's AngularJS versus Angular, which is 2 and up. And then you also have tags that you can tag things and search. So it's just really a collection of, and it doesn't have to be just code blogs. It can be videos or, goodness, what are all the things, Joe? I'm trying to think of all the different, it's we have blogs, articles, videos, I think courses are also on there.
Blogs, videos, courses, other, and then code samples.
Code samples, right. So yes, it's a really cool resource and anybody can contribute, which is, I think, the coolest part personally, because there's just so much stuff, so much content out there to be curated. And so I really love this idea of having one place to go for it. So yeah, that is the idea behind it. So it's built on mean, and what that means to me, it's so weird not being able to see your faces. I wonder if I can put you small in my corner, unless that would break the world. Let's try it. Hang on, let me check. Is this breaking the world? So I can kind of see your faces. Okay, so yes, the other letters in mean are Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node. And so last night I was asking Joe, okay, I think that's better. So last night I was asking Joe, hey, I want to learn a little bit more, and I know that we want an email list. And so basically, let me go ahead and take you to the main nav. And actually, is this font too big? How is this size? Too big, too small?
I think it looks pretty good.
Okay, so this is the main nav. And if we go over here, you can see that, and it's because, there. So yeah, it's responsive. It's not lovely. The nav gets compiled to a little tiny nav for when you're on mobile. So in the nav, you have these little guys, and I'm just going to walk through a little bit of templating, and please feel free to ask questions because I know we've got like newer peeps on there, and I am definitely on the newer side, the fresher side, as Bryn said. I loved that. So yes, ask questions if you have any, but basically we've got ourselves a lovely nav header, and we've got the image, the H1, go down. You see we have our nav right, which has all of our anchors. And if you'll notice, there's like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, a bajillion anchors, and you're not actually seeing that many anchors. And that's because we have a ton of these ngIfs that are saying, if I'm an admin or if I'm not an admin, show me these anchors. And so that is essentially why, depending if you're signed in or not, you see a different nav items. And so below that, Joe and I had talked about adding an email list. And so that is what I want to talk to you guys about tonight. And so basically the first step was I copied this footer component that I had made. Literally, I copied it. I renamed it to email list, and we put it inside of home. And Joe, do you want to speak to that for a minute? So I had originally put like our brand new email list component next to, you know, footer, common articles. It was just out here. And he said, hey, let's put that inside of home. And do you have any, like, I know it's to clean it up, but do you have any like advice for people on that?
Yeah, so that was kind of like a calculated bet, right? So we created this email list component, and it is going to live inside the home component, which means that having the subfolder for all of its files underneath the home folder makes sense. But you always have to wonder, well, at some point, could we use this same component on a different page, in which case it would be silly to have it underneath the home component. And if later on we do that, then we'd want to, you know, move it out, which might be painful at that point because of all the paths that are set. So it might be annoying. But you're kind of like making a calculated guess. If you just put it up in the root, the problem is every time we add a new component, which we want to add, we want to really have lots of components in an app. You want small pieces of functionality that you put together, not lots of small pieces of functionality rather than a few big pieces of functionality. But then your root directory, that app directory, would have like, you know, 35 folders. We don't want that. So, you know, the other place you could have done is most likely than sticking on the root would have been to say, well, let's put it in that common folder, because then it, you know, you think it's going to be used by multiple pages. So in which case, yeah, let's stick it in the common folder rather than in the home folder. But at least for now, I kind of thought, yeah, this will probably only be on the home page. So let's make it a subdirectory of the home page.
No, and I thought I really loved that you interjected and gave me that advice, because usually I'm just kind of a in the moment, slap it in the root and go kind of person. So I really want to work on, I think honestly, that's one of the steps you take from being a fresher developer to being more of an experienced one, is just being able to take a step back and think about the future and be like, hey, so where all is this going to be used? Like, how broad of a scope do I really need to make this? So we put it in home, and this guy, boop, 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 is my little CTA, which stands for call to action. Maybe not the best class name, don't judge. And so I built out this little sentence: want to stay informed on the latest and greatest resources? Subscribe to our Kickin' email list. And so super, super simple, super boring. We'll plan on styling this, you know, a bit differently, but I wanted to get to the meat of it. And so if we open up our email list component, import from Angular core, your component. And I imported auth. Strictly speaking, at this point, because it's not working right now, if this wasn't needed, but again, thinking about, okay, what are we going to need? What do I need to import? And then we declared our component, and I just did a selector of email list and my template URL, which this guy matches the template, blah, blah, blah. And that is obviously where you see my amazing, incredible copy. I know, right? I'm just so gifted with writing.
I like it.
Really?
Yeah.
I always have to ask Joe, so do you want to change this before we push it? Because that's what it says.
Some people take themselves too seriously. It's fun to be a little silly. Not us.
No, yeah, we definitely don't. We do not take ourselves seriously. So, so yes, that is our like simple template. And if we had styles at this point, this is where, similar to my footer, let me show you. So similar to how in this super simple footer component, we would go ahead and list out our style URLs and, you know, put the style sheet. But again, for this guy, we don't need it yet. And declared our class of email list component. So now was the diving into the super secret fun part of the other letters. So Joe, if you ever if I'm going into the next part, can you just refresh me? Because I'm pretty sure. So hang on. I'm pretty sure that the next part we did was Expressy. And sorry, gonna open up these guys and get them ready. So this was actually the first place that I jumped to. I've done a little bit of Ruby, and so in my mind, I was thinking, hey, if a user subscribes to our email list, I obviously need to talk to the user. In my head, it was like the user data or user object, but it's a user model. And Joe, I'd love for you to expand on this. This is Express, yes?
So this here is actually Mongoose. So Mongoose is the layer that lets you talk to Mongo. Like there are the native drivers for Mongo, but a lot of people, my guess is most people, I'm not nearly as well connected in like the node world. So I don't know that I know that most people use Mongoose, but I think that most people use Mongoose. When I look at examples for Mongo, I mostly find people using Mongoose, which is this wrapper around Mongo. So it just makes it a little bit easier to use.
Okay, so the M part of mean is like just data modeling or the database?
Yeah, just the data, the fact that you're using Mongo to store your data, but using Mongoose as a wrapper over it is just a choice. You know, it's not quite as critical as say using Express. It's more like, hey, yeah, I'm going to use Mongo, but Mongoose just makes things a little bit nicer as a wrapper.
So
okay, wait, can we stop here? So yeah, Mongoose is the database?
No, Mongoose is just the library that helps you access the database. So it gives you a few things that Mongo's native libraries don't do. So Mongo already provides some native node libraries, okay? And they give you all the features to access the database, to read from it and to write to it, et cetera, et cetera. What Mongoose gives you is the ability to say, hey, so I go back and pull up the code sample here, Alyssa.
Which code?
The one you got. Sorry, the one you got.
Oh, okay.
So here's your code sample, right? Like we've created this user schema, and what we've said is that, hey, our users have these 6 pieces of information. They have a Google ID and a Google token, their email, name, role, and then this flag as to whether or not they have subscribed to the email list, right? And so now we've defined that, and every user is like that. Now, Mongo is very fluid in that we could have some users that have all these 6. We could have users that only have 4 of these attributes, and users that have 8 attributes that are, 4 new ones, and users. But normally, in most applications, all the users are going to look all the same. So that's what Mongoose. That's one of the big things about Mongoose is it gives you this like, hey, let's define what this collection in our database actually looks like. So the users collection, let's define what that looks like. If you go to like the tag model. Over there on the left.
Tag model.
Yeah, they're all like siblings of each other. So here's a tag. A tag has a type and it has a flag that indicates whether it's required.
Okay, so on our user model, I don't see any requireds.
No.
So
we
we're
didn't.
we're just freeballing it. Our users can
Yeah,
come
sorry.
stroll on in without a name.
Yep,
saw-
they can.
I saw Jeff Wepley
Yeah.
come.
I know, was that a Jeff? I want to say hi
That
to
was
the
like
Jeff.
a little
Was that a drive-by?
cameo. A little.
It was a drive-by Jeffing.
Drive-by Jeffing.
Is he not coming back? I feel so sad. Oh, there he
Oh,
is.
you're muted, Carolyn.
Oh, look, it's Jeff.
Hello, Jeff. He's like, I just briefly saw him. Like,
Hey.
Oh, you guys. You have like them in the far ear, so you have to be like cheek.
That was definitely a rookie move.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. That was like the whole move. Oh gosh.
We're talking about some meme stack stuff, Jeff. It's pretty exciting.
Oh.
yeah, we
Sounds-
told your wife
sounds like
there's
fun.
going to be no dinner tonight. It's not
Yeah.
happening. We got her. When are you going to start bringing her to conferences, Jeff? You need to come to conferences with us, Carolyn.
I know, it'd be fun.
We have so much fun. We can karaoke.
I can't karaoke better than Jeff can karaoke.
Well,
Wait.
where you been? You
I
need to
know.
come.
I didn't
Man is a solo.
for real, like Jeff, for real, you karaoke? Because like I don't think I've seen this.
You have to see the
You haven't heard Piano Man? Piano Man is classic.
Some of you guys were there at NGConf. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't miss that. And it's also, I think it's on the internet too, Alyssa.
Oh, it was recorded.
Oh,
Blessed be the day.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
we do have that. Okay, sorry. So we were talking about Mongoose, but we're not talking about the critter. We were talking about the schema.
The wrap on the data.
Wrapping
So-
the data.
Mongoose does that, which it helps you define a schema for your collections in Mongo. So if you know databases, your typical database is a relational database, and you have tables, and then a table has fields, which are like the pieces of data. In a NoSQL database like Mongo, instead of tables, they're just called collections, and then in the side of collection you have a list of documents, and the documents have fields. So that's what we've done here, is define that, hey, our user document. Pull that back up, Alyssa. You're not screen sharing anymore.
I think Alyssa froze.
I'm not.
Alyssa. Anyway, so you have to. Well, since we
It
all
says
have.
that you guys hear me?
We
I
can
can
hear you, but
hear
we
you.
can't see you. We lost your video.
Try it a brand new. Good? No? Happening?
No, it's not happening. It's the exact opposite of happening.
Uh-oh. What do we do now?
Really?
Stay tuned, folks.
Off and back on. You guys keep talking though. Tell them about Mongoose.
Joe, do you have NG Docs local? You can pull it up. You might have to.
Yeah.
You might have to cover for Alyssa here while she's having technical difficulties.
Yep. Okay, I can do that.
Sorry, Joe. I know
No
you were
worries.
just supposed to be chilling with us tonight, but
No worries.
so hey, and while we're doing that, how is Mongoose like GraphQL? Because that's what I was thinking when you guys are showing the schema. It reminds me of GraphQL.
So I do not know tons about GraphQL. I've never played around with it. I've read maybe a couple of articles. I've listened to a quarter of a couple of talks. So I'm certainly not the best person to talk about what might be similar and what isn't. But GraphQL, maybe Jeff knows better than I do about GraphQL. But GraphQL is sort of it's a hookup for again, it's like a live streaming data, right? Jeff, do you know?
Yeah, well, actually, we have an ngHouston recording from a couple of weeks ago where we had Uri on
talking about GraphQL.
There's a whole thing about GraphQL. It just
Yeah,
looked,
so
the
GraphQL,
schema, the schema was kind of, the structure was a little bit similar.
the idea is to say, hey, when I'm in my node code, right, my server-side code, I don't want to have to deal with data here and then also send it off to a database, right? So GraphQL is kind of like that. Hey, I don't have to worry about that. I think that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm not the best guy to tell you, best person to tell you what the similarities and differences are.
Well, the biggest difference is that with Mongo, you have different collections and they're pretty isolated. Like you can have like a foreign key or something, but you're in charge of creating the relationships. Like you have to do separate queries to get something from one collection and then something from another collection. But with GraphQL and graphing databases in general, it's focused on kind of the edges, like those connections between different data entities. And so the whole concept of GraphQL is being able to identify that you want, like the traditional example is like with Netflix and their videos have authors, and authors have videos, and there's like a bunch of different relationships between these entities. And so instead of querying, a bunch of different, like your authors table and your videos table and, these different separate things, with a graph table, you can just specify you want everything related to this author, and it kind of GraphQL does the work of sucking in the data from all those other data entities and then giving you back just one object.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Okay, I think we got sidetracked. Sorry, that was my fault. I
Yeah.
think we got Alyssa's screen back. Alyssa, you want to?
Hey, look.
Woohoo!
She's back. She
Yay.
dropped
That was-
and refreshed, and now I think we're good.
Yeah. And the answer for Google Hangouts is always quit Chrome and retry again. So.
All right. Well, it worked. Well, you're back in business.
Okay, so back to the Mongoose, and basically, did we agree? We're all in agreement that Mongo is the library that lets you access the database, or are we not in agreement? Yes.
Yes.
And when we say
Yes.
Mongo, we do not mean Mongoose, right?
Right.
No, but it kind of sounds. Actually, I think it is Mongoose JS, and everybody calls it Mongo for short. Is that right, or am I confused?
No.
Wait,
No.
what? Oh my God.
It's different. It's totally different. So I am confused. See,
Okay.
see
Mongoose
already.
is like
I'm
a-
confused.
Mongoose is like think of Mongoose as a helper for Mongo, right? So Mongo actually is your data storage technology. Mongoose is just a little helper for it, just to make it a little bit easier to work with. Gives you a couple utilities. It's like
Is it like a framework?
it's like the rubber handle on your hammer. Got a hammer, and it chafes just a little bit when you use it. So we put a rubber handle on it just to make it a little bit smoother to use. That's what Mongoose is.
It's like a
But it's
little.
not the hammer, right?
which
Mongoose
is
by itself
Mongo.
doesn't do
Okay.
anything. Rubber handles by themselves, useless.
Okay, so whenever I was talking with the Joe, and I said, "Hey, the Joe," that's what I call him now, as of this moment. I'm thinking that we need to talk to the user model and give them some sort of email subscribed. And I made it a Boolean because that made sense to me. I don't know, like, yes, they subscribed. No, they didn't. Are there really any other options? I'm going to go with no. So at that point, he took me on over to the, what file? Was it this one that we jumped into? I'm feeling like it was the auth file.
I think we kind of started with routes. I mean,
Was it
we
routes?
looked at the sample
That's right.
functionality for something very similar, because I already knew that we had. So well, really, we started from the standpoint of what is the user experience like. You always have to start there. And so,
if you think about it, because like we want them to click this subscribe link, but we had to basically, you have two options. One, they're not logged in. So right now, obviously I'm not logged in. Or two, they already are logged in. So we needed two different branches for this like same link to take us. And so we're using Google Auth, which is incredible. And I mean, you said, Joe, that you were like having an OAuth headache one day. Was that about this, or was that about something else? Oh, it was this.
yeah, that was this.
So whenever you click login, let me just show you. It's pretty magical. It takes you to this fantastical accounts.google sign in OAuth page, and you pick one of your accounts, and then it brings you back and back to our page. And it actually, this one took us to create a new resource. So whenever you click the subscribe link, which now my button styles are kicking in, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and I have no idea why. This was like right before I was like, you know what, my button styles for that anchor are gone, and that's a mystery to be solved, and now they're back. So welcome back, button styles. I have no idea why that happened. So whenever you click login and log out, it takes you to this Google Auth email, or to this Google Auth page, right? And so whenever we click subscribe to our kicking new email list, Joe had us look at this app.get API auth Google, and that's the new article one. And we're using cookies here. Woo! And then Joe, tell us about passport.auth authenticate? Because Passport's a different thing. Like this isn't Express, right?
Right. So where Mongoose made it easier to work with Mongo, Passport makes it easier to deal with authenticating your users, right? Like keeping track who's logged in, who's not logged in, who's logged out. And then if they are logged in, who are they? What data do we have about them? So that's what Passport is for. And so Passport is a very generic library that lets you do all kinds of different authentication. Your typical ones like, hey, type in your username and password, right? But it'll also help you with, hey, I want to do what's called OAuth authentication. So I want people to log in with their Google ID or their Twitter ID or their Facebook. And I assume most people have been to websites that have done this. So Passport has the functionality and capabilities to support all that. And you can see here in that line 53, right, that we're logging in with a Google account. We're telling them, we're saying, hey, go ahead and log this person with their Google account.
And passing it the profile and email, which is the same exact thing that we wanted to do for when they are subscribing to an email. But we didn't. So we have this auth.add cookie. So this is where we went into our auth file. And so this auth.add cookie, whenever you click on, I want to create a new article. This guy, is this Express? I feel like this is Express. No?
Which part?
Like this whole file. Are we writing Expressy stuff yet or not?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, this is definitely Express. Yes, this is Express.
Is there a fuzzy line? Like,
no, I mean like the part of Express, the part of this that's really the Express part is it's all these functions that do things. I mean the meat of it, like setting the cookie, that's actually Express too. But you know, all of our logic, that's just logic. So I guess, but yes, this is Express code. So, but we might be doing Mongoose stuff in here too. You know, we might be accessing our database.
okay.
Right.
So
but yes,
whenever we're saying
Express.
So whenever we're saying where was it? This guy. So whenever we're saying auth.add cookie, and that is inside of our auth file, this specific part right here, that is Express, right? Or no?
Mm-hmm.
And like, because I'm always confused about like, where is this magical Express coming from? Are we including it or is it?
I think it's best to start with the routes file to explain Express.
Cool. Routes. Boom.
Yeah. Do you want me to fill in this, or do you want to talk about what we talked about before first?
Hey, let's stop for a second and
yeah.
see if we have any questions from the panel to see if everybody's with you guys, or if you're getting ahead of us. Is everybody confused, or does this make sense? Also, I have to stop for a minute and say, Alyssa, we have 14 people watching us online, which makes this like the biggest we've ever had so far. Because we just started doing this. We started this YouTube channel like very recently. So 14, like you've drawn our biggest crowd ever.
Well, I think it might have been the word beginners in your title. It's more friendly.
No way, it's all you, man.
So, yeah, do you guys, Bryn or Caroline or Sam, what are you thinking?
Does this make sense? Or
it's making sense so far.
Awesome.
Or at least I can follow that I'm following something. So
I loved the hammer analogy.
Mm-hmm. Hang on. Wait, I need to go write that down before I forget it.
The hammer analogy?
Yeah. Hang on. I think it was Mongoose, right?
Hammer time.
I'm the hammer grip, right?
I'm the hammer. I'm the handle of the hammer.
He's the hammer grip, right? And this one's the ham.
So yeah, Passport's the grip, the nice grip, and then Express or Node would be the hammer in this case. Or for Mongoose is the grip, and Mongo is the hammer.
Okay, so yes, are there any questions though at this point, or maybe we need to rewind from the panel, or actually the YouTubes? Do the YouTubes have questions?
We had a question from Rebecca, but Jeff jumped in there in the chat and answered that question. So that just went really fast. So yeah, you guys can jump back in, and I think we're with you so far. This is pretty cool. Okay, so yes, Joe, I think we should explain the Express part first.
Okay. So you gonna start that, or do you want me to?
U2. And so we're showing the...
Yeah, these are the routes, right? So scroll up a little bit to where it's a little bit more dense, the routes. Is it up or down? Yeah, so like, see, there's all these different routes. So remember this, ultimately we're writing a web server, and the web server has to respond to HTTP requests. And the HTTP requests come in basically four different flavors. Technically there's a couple others, but let's just say there's four different flavors. That's GET requests, POST requests, PUT requests, and DELETE requests. And most of the time we're familiar with GET requests because that's what happens when we type in a URL in the browser as a GET request. And when it comes to, but here we're building like an application. So for an application, we sort of deal with gets and posts and puts and deletes in the interest of, all right, am I trying to ask my server to give me some data? If so, that's a GET request. Am I trying to create a new piece of data, in which case that's generally a POST request? Am I trying to update a piece of data, which is usually a PUT request? Or am I trying to delete a piece of data, which is a delete? And you can see examples of that here in each one. So line 20 is a delete, right? We're deleting a tag. And you can see what it actually does by that second parameter, tags.delete tag. So obviously we're deleting tags there. The URL helps us out as well. The URL is the first parameter, that string that starts with /API/tags, and then the colon tag means that there's like a tag ID that's part of the URL. So we have a request, a delete request to that URL, and when that happens, Express says, okay, I've just gotten a delete request to this URL, I'm gonna call delete tag. Or the line above it, I've got a GET request that's just /API/tags, so I'm going to get a specific tag.
This means that it's going to be in the URL, right? So like I would
Yep.
literally see like this guy in our it'd be like something like that, but it would be a number. So it'd be like that, right?
Yeah. Now you won't see your browser going to this because these are XML HTTP requests that are happening behind this. So the browser, the Angular code that we're writing is making these requests behind the scenes for us. It's still doing it from our browser, from the user's browser, and making the requests, but it's doing it behind the scenes. So the URL in the browser never actually says.
You'd never see anything happen.
Yeah, you don't see these there.
For
Right.
anything in this file, you're saying?
Well, not necessarily anything. If you went to something that doesn't start with /API.
Okay.
If you scroll around and look for that.
Something that doesn't start with admin, about,
There you go.
articles. Okay, so these
Yeah.
guys. So like if it starts with API, it's behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why didn't we just start with that? That would have been so much easier. Okay, hang on. We're going to go back up. I hope you all are enjoying my ridiculously low-level notes here. So if the URL starts with API, it's behind the scenes, and that means...
And that's just a convention that I put together in this application, right? There's nothing magic about /API. It's just that whenever it was a behind-the-scenes request for data, either to get data or to manipulate data,
That's
that
like
is all.
super organized of you. Are you always this organized?
No. Actually, no. Open up a article controller and count the number of lines in it.
Wait, what? Really?
Article controller. Yep. Go down to the very bottom.
You know, sadly, it's not even close to the longest JavaScript file I've ever worked in.
Yeah,
I've seen controllers with over 1,000 lines of
Yes,
code.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like scrolling, and like at one point the editor starts lagging, and you're like, oh no, we're not going to be able to handle it.
You're in trouble. Okay, so I have a question. When we call, so we're doing client-side development, right? I'm doing my view and API and everything like that. When I call an API, this is where it's coming from? Like, where does that come from? When you're a client side, when you're a front-end developer and you're calling an API, sometimes, actually a lot of times, the API has already been provided by someone else, or sometimes you can call it a Twitter API. There's a lot of public APIs out there. So if I want to actually make my own API, is this is the server side or this is the client side?
Yeah.
This is what we see from the client side.
Yeah, this is the server side here. So
this is actually serving it, and then someone else can go and get it.
yeah.
So if I wanted to, I could make my own website, and I could call your ngDoc API, and I could just like put my own, stuff on there, and then I could like have, like, I could like compete with you with your own data.
You're right.
Wait, what? I did not even follow that at all. What is she talking about?
So as a front-end developer, I've been working with APIs for years, right? But a lot of times someone else will set up the API and I'm like, where does that come from? And I haven't needed to because I've been busy with other stuff, right? But this is interesting because, so if you actually want to serve that API and you want to be the one dishing it out instead of the one taking it, then this is actually the backend code. It's not right to call it backend, right? But this is like backend. Yeah, so this is like
I guess a lot of people oftentimes when they think of backend, they will often think
like the business logic. Like there's this invisible wall, and in the front is the client, and in the back is wherever the data is coming from, and this is it. So it's like we just pulled back. It's like the Wizard of Oz when they go, who's that man behind the curtain? And then you see him, and he's the guy, and yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it's Joe behind the curtain with the data.
Oh my goodness, absolute best. Okay, continue, Joe. I'm learning so much more than even I learned during our pairing session. So
you should be talking to Alyssa because you're kind of hilarious. And some of the things that confuse us too. So when you're confused and you're working through it, we're working through it with you.
All right, I'm glad. I'm hoping you guys don't get rage comments on YouTube of like, why is this girl so dumb? But
we actually have Shorty on YouTube. So say hi, Shorty. And we have
Shorty.
Yeah.
Yay, Shorty.
Yeah.
Guess what? Shorty's gonna be on a boat soon, and he's so excited about it.
Are you going too? Yeah, you are going.
Yes, we'll be on that boat. Joe, me, Shorty. I'm really surprised you and Sam aren't gonna be on there.
I know. I wish that I was going because I'm all my favorite people are gonna be on that boat.
Caroline, are you and Jeff going or no? No,
we're not going. No.
Carolyn, we're going to keep bugging you until you start showing up at Angular conferences.
If there was going to be a conference, it should be ngCruise, right? If that was going to be our first one.
Yeah. We like it. Hey, Joe, you know about ngCruise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you guys are talking about, right?
A little bit about ngCruise. Yeah, I think Joe's one of the organizers actually, so he kind of has to go.
I do have to go.
So my brain has been so fried lately that I think it was, what was it, yesterday? I go, Joe, are you going on ngCruise? And like he's like organizing it, right? Like he's so kind though. He's never called me out and been like, Alyssa, really? So yeah, he was just like, yeah, I'll be there.
I think that's one of the things I like about Alyssa, and we have that in common because we're not afraid to ask stupid questions. Like when Shorty was on ngHouston a couple weeks ago and he was showing us the playground, and I was really excited about it and I thought it was really cool. And I was like, oh, by the way, Shorty, who wrote this? And he's like, I wrote this. And I was like, oh yeah. I totally knew that.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so we have figured out the back end. This is where the API actually comes from, which has always been kind of mysterious for me. So I think this is actually very cool. Oh, Verna wants to know about the cruise. So Joe, don't let me forget when we finish, because we're like terrible going off on tangents, but we're having so much fun. You guys are hilarious. Before we sign off, we need to talk about ngCruise, and you would probably be great for that. And also, yeah, there's the details. And if somebody will tweet that out and tag ngHouston, I'll retweet it so that anyone. Are there tickets left? Is it sold out?
The boat is completely sold out. So.
It's too late. Are you going to be recording any of that stuff?
Yeah, I think the sessions all get recorded.
All right.
Cool. Wait, okay. So we had. Oh, that was the question. That was the only question we had.
The question was about, yeah, it's too late, Vernon, because the tickets are sold out and the cruise is leaving in like 2 days. But yeah, but there are a lot more conferences coming up, so we're gonna have a lot of fun. Okay, so we've got the Mongo, we've got the Mongoose, we've got the server API, which is pretty cool for me. Panel, do you guys have any questions? Bryn, Carolyn, Sam, do y'all have questions?
I have a quick question. Is API, is that a universal tag, or is that one? Did you say?
I just made it up.
You made it up. Okay,
yeah,
that's what I was. Okay.
So are you saying we could rename this to Bob?
Could rename it to Bob.
Oh, yes. What does it stand for?
Bob from accounting.
What does API stand for?
Application Programming Interface.
A what?
I just gave it away. It was a test.
Application Programming
Interface.
Okay.
Well, you are supposed to be our resident guru, so.
I want to talk about app for a minute.
Yeah.
where is app? Like, I'm assuming it's at the top. Where is
Yeah.
it? Where is it? Wait, I'm still not seeing it. Oh, it's being
I
passed
love
in.
your questions, Alyssa. You crack me up.
I just like, we've got all these really cool calls and they all have to do with app. And I'm like, okay, who are you? So Joe, who is he?
Okay, so we can find app if we go into the server file. Go to server.js right next to
Hold on, wait, go.
routes.js.
Hold on. Where is it coming from in this file? Where don't you have to import it? Because it's like you're not
No, it's
even.
passed
Oh no,
in.
it's coming. Okay, I got you. It's a parameter coming in. I knew that.
Yep.
I was
All this is
testing
a
you.
function.
It's like the best way. Like, passing it in is like the best. Okay, wait, we're on server. I'm still not. Oh, this? Wait,
Yeah,
are you
so
kidding me?
Down, yeah, there we go. That's app.
Why couldn't we just put that in here? Why is this here?
Because we need it in several places. Well, yeah, we need it in several places. So you see it's used on line 10 and then also on line 14.
What if we like didn't make a variable? And what if we did like express? Like, would that be super bad?
Called express multiple times. I don't know. I assume so.
Okay.
Certainly
Okay.
not the pattern that you see people.
I see. I just didn't know if it was like performance reasons or like pretty reasons. Like,
Probably. I don't know. It could be both.
okay.
Honestly, don't
So app is our express bud, and he has all of these post, get, etc. calls. And so get is expecting, can we talk about what get is expecting? So it's expecting a URL.
Right.
And
So Express is the backend, right?
Yes.
And the server in this little mean abbreviation.
Yes. It's our web server. And again, Express is to Node the same way that Mongoose is to Mongo, right? So Express just makes it a lot easier to build web servers. You can build a web server without Express. It just makes it a lot easier when you do want to build a web server to use Express.
so express is, okay, so we have get, and it's a call that we can make, and or
I'm going to go AFK a second.
Do it.
You just go on.
And so last night I learned that it's expecting a URL and then as many functions as you want. This is where it gets exciting, folks. So we're passing in auth.add cookie redirect. And then we're saying basically after you're done doing this add cookie thing, go ahead and do passport.authenticate. But like technically we could just keep going and be like, you know, like my unicorn call, right? And just like keep chaining, right? Is that right? We can just keep adding things here.
That sounds right to us. It's okay with us.
we're all fine with it.
Oh,
So this is, so auth.add cookie redirect is what we wanted to look at next. And that's inside our auth file. And he had previously, so I don't know if you guys use Atom, but see how there's like green over here? So that's the new stuff that we worked on last night. And it's like changes to the file, additions. It'll be red if I took something out. So as you can see, there's no color next to this exports.add cookie redirect. That's something that he had already built for the new article redirect. So we basically just copy pasted that and I named it add email subscribe cookie. And basically the idea here is that I don't want to bug people if they've already subscribed to our email list or if they've already said, no, thank you, right? Like either way, we want to remember them somehow. And so, you know, cookies are a delicious place to store that. So inside.
And the cookie is built in Express? Or is that a method that you're calling or is that a method that you defined somewhere?
This is an excellent question. Let me see.
Which method?
So what we're talking about is the cookie like a given with Express? Is it built in?
res.cookie, yeah. Yep.
Because that's our response.
Yep,
So
yeah, Express has created a wrapper for us around the response object, or created this response object, and it has the cookie method that's used to set cookies.
okay. And then it's expecting what is this? This is just
That's
a
the
random
name of the cookie. First parameter is the name of the cookie.
That's right. Because I remembered it was a random string, but I didn't know why. So it's just whatever name we want to call it, and that's what we'll look for, right?
Right. Like so many things in programming, cookies are just pairs of a name and a value, right? So here's the name, and then what is the value? Now, in our case, we're setting the values to true in both lines, 38 and 39. We're just setting the value true, but we could set it to the value 35. We could set it to the value Joe is dumb. We could set it to an object that was like a user object that had 5 properties.
And at this point, we were talking through the logic, which was really fun, of like, we're obviously storing 2 cookies here, right? One of them is asked to email the subscriber, and one of them is email subscribed. And so I don't remember how we got onto this train of logic. It was something to the effect of, we need to know if we've asked them, and we also need to know if they've subscribed to the email, because as Joe pointed out, remember how when we logged in, it took us away from our site? So when we came back to our site, we no longer had the information of like, did they subscribe? So when they come back to us, we want this cookie to let us know if they did. Did I explain that correctly?
You did. If I can jump in 1 second, Justin is on YouTube said if your font would be a little bit bigger, that would be awesome. And Jeff Buckley loves cookies.
Does he? I just don't
keeping you
believe
posted
that.
on the chat over there.
He's way too healthy for that. I don't believe that at all.
We don't believe you, Jeff.
Nice try though. GG.
maybe they're cookies in moderation. Maybe just once in a while cookies. But yeah, it's a different kind of cookie though, Jeff.
I can go bigger. Like, we can go all the way.
There you go.
Is that good? We liking it?
Awesome.
Okay.
So this format, the cookie is a method that's provided in Express, and it takes this, that first parameter should be a unique identifier. It kind of reminds me of like local storage. And I can never say local storage without picturing Mike Brocky in a Cookie Monster outfit.
Right.
I just can never, you can never unsee that, guys. Yeah, local storage. So that first one is going to be a unique identifier that could be anything, right? That's that first string.
I didn't even think about it being unique.
Well, yeah,
I mean, you're going to reuse it.
To be unique. It is. You do want it to be unique.
Why? Are you saying if I like, it would overwrite itself, like, or overwrite the other thing that's in there with that same name?
Yeah, that or error, but probably just overwrite.
Okay. And so we're passing it, continue, Bonnie. You're saying we're passing it the unique string identifier bud. We're passing
it the parameters behind it. And then so that it has a unique string, it has the Boolean, and then that expires. Is that an optional parameter there with the cookie? So like the first one will be the unique identifier, and then the second one will be true or false, and then it'll be, is that optional? Is that something that you guys did specifically, or is that?
That was because we were talking about like how it was actually, what does it set it to by default? Was there a default?
It's a session duration cookie, so it only exists while the user's there. And then if the user leaves our website or closes down their browser, it goes away, and they come back to the website, the cookies are all gone, or those cookies would be all gone.
Y'all are making me want cookies.
I want cookies.
I just want to know, because we haven't heard from our panelists in a long time. So do you have, I either want a question.
Do you have cookies?
I want a code question from you, or I want your favorite cookie. So let's hear it from the panelists.
All right.
Well, it's kind of way over my head, but I feel like I'm just absorbing a lot of it, so it's been really good. But
okay, that's I'm like hoping, I was hoping for that, but if you do have anything, just slap us with it. Like, we want to hear it.
Yeah, right. I've not worked with cookies before, so I've had a lot of fun learning about it. I have made a lot of cookies, and my favorite is chocolate.
Oh, chocolate.
We have Atticus White, who said Jeff ate all the cookies. Who's Atticus? You guys know? I don't know. Apparently Jeff ate all the cookies. And
he would eat all the cookies if they were around.
And I love Oreos. What is he? Are you seriously eating cookies, Jeff?
No, he's not. Is he really? Oh my goodness.
And they're chocolate.
That is terrible. No,
he had to prove me wrong. He knew I wasn't a believer. So,
what about you? What kind of cookies do you like?
Ooh, yes.
Oh my God, I'm gluten free, so
no cookies.
Gluten-free paleo cookies.
Well, you could get some of Justin's broccoli cookies.
Those sound delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, broccoli cookies, Shorty. We need those. Send them right over. Okay, sorry. This is
been
like
fun,
the
but-
craziest meetup that we've had, but we are seriously learning a lot of stuff here, guys. So we kind of went off on the cookie land, and I'm sure that was probably supposed to be a quick thing, but we we like the cookies. So, but I'm sorry. Let's go on.
What is next?
Oh, you know,
Can
Bonnie,
we talk
I
about
have to
next?
leave. Is it okay?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
you're stuck here, man. We're all
And
gonna
I'm like, I
drop
gotta
if
leave.
you
I'm
leave.
sorry, but
No,
it
that's
was totally
fine. We're
fun. I'm
glad
I
you.
got to meet
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. Hopefully, I'll see you guys again.
Yeah, you
Okay,
need to be a
bye.
regular, Bryn. You're fun.
Yeah, I'll keep in touch for sure.
All right.
Have fun on your cruise.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
Bye. So I really want to talk about next because I don't like we talked a little bit about it, Joe, but we're
Right.
passing this in, and are we saying like this is the thing you move on to?
Yeah, so next just says, I'm done doing my work. And so if there's somebody else that needs to do work on this request, they can go ahead and do that work.
So where does this go to? Because I feel
That's
like
like
it
a
goes
callback?
here.
It looks like a call. It is a callback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So next is a function that's passed in, and it's just like, imagine it as telling Express, hey, go ahead and just continue on Express. Whatever was going on, just keep doing it, right? Do what's next. And so we can see an example of that where we did go back to the routes file, and we can see where we have done things that use next.
So we have done things that use next. What? Am I like searching for next or?
No, you're going to search for this one, right? The new article, new dash article, for example.
I'm very confused. You want me to search for new article?
No, right there, that line 57. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So here we're actually utilizing this. So notice that line 57 has how many parameters? It's a little bit tough to see because it's on two different lines, and
Count the commas. 1 comma, 2 comma. So that means 3 parameters.
yep, 3 total parameters, right? The first the URL, and then 2 things after that. Now, if you scroll up to where we had like a simpler, or like all of our routes.
Oh yeah, these guys?
Yeah, keep going. So the general route, like look at line, all right, line 19.
Line 19 is articles.getTags.
Yeah, notice there's only got 2 parameters, the URL that matches up, and then the function that gets called. So if somebody calls /API/tags, we just call get tags. But if you look down at like line 21, it's API tag search and then a name. Notice that it requires an API login. It calls that function. The auth.requires API login. Then it calls search tags. And then it's in order. So the first thing it does is, hey, is the person logged in?
Wait.
If they have not logged in, then we are not going to let them make this call. We're just going to return back out and say, sorry, you cannot make this call.
I feel kind of lied to. So you're saying that this, and this is required, res, and next?
No.
Okay, wait.
No.
What? I'm so confused. Hold on, back up.
So each one of these functions, so it requires API login. Let's look at that. Go to the auth file and then look up requires API login.
Okay, requires, nope. Wait, in this file, yeah?
Yeah, it should be.
Auth, maybe it's like log.
Here in the server, requires API login.
Uh-oh.
Require.
What happens when Joe doesn't know either?
We all run around.
Now we're in
walking.
trouble.
That or I was spelling require wrong.
Yeah, it's an
No.
auth.js and server line 12.
Line 12. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's because I have this whole word search on. So that's on me, coach. That's on
Yeah,
me.
there you go. Okay, so notice that this is a function that takes in the 3 parameters, the request, the response, and then the next function. Okay,
Yes.
so go back to routes now.
Okay.
And that's the second parameter on line 21 is that requires API login. And that function takes in all 3 parameters. Then let's go to the articles controller and find the search tags function. Yep. And you just have to do find search tags. There you go. And notice this again, search tags is a function that takes in, there's only 2 parameters utilized, but really takes in 3. I'm not dealing with the third parameter, the next parameter.
Okay.
So I'm only capturing 2, but it actually gets all 3. So every function that you pass in to one of these URL handlers must take all 3, or is a function that receives a request, a response, and then a next.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so all of these beautiful red functions here must take in 3 parameters. Request.
Right. Well, yeah, they don't have to deal with all 3 of them, but they're going to receive the 3.
Okay.
They don't have to deal with all of them.
Are they in that order, or do they actually?
Yeah,
okay.
They're executed in this. They all come in that order: request, response, next, and then they are executed in order. So that way we can put in our security checks. When somebody makes a request to this URL, first let's check that they're okay. In our case, we're doing cookie checks, right? We're saying, hey, if somebody requests this URL, first thing is stick a cookie on, and then just do whatever you're going to do.
Right.
Right.
That was. Hang on, I want to find.
There we go with the.
And that's what we see there in line 57.
Where was there? Here. So yes. So because we're
Wait,
saying
line 57.
Oh, inside.
We were on looking at
Add.
Yeah.
So there's the next, right?
Yeah. Well, so because add cookie redirect calls next, then it will also then call passport.authenticate. So first we're doing add cookie redirect, which says, hey, when they call to new articles, API auth Google new article, first add the cookie, then authenticate them. That's what's going on here.
Okay, and then wait,
and then it's just done.
Scope that, and then wait. So who is this? This is just a string that we're passing and saying set it equal to that.
Well, no, that's the string that tells Passport, hey, we want to log in using their Google account.
Okay. Okay. And so at this point, since we've done our Express backend web server business, we would move over to our actual component. Right. And this is where we would finish out. And so I was actually talking with my husband last night, and he was saying that, I think you said this too, Joe, right? Like that you could just get cookies or something off of document.
Yeah.
Because basically at this point, we need to go, hey, cookies, are they authenticated? Or, well, actually, we're not asking the cookies that. We're asking the cookies, hey, cookies, are they subscribed to the email? And so we need a way to get the cookies and look inside of them and be like, are you made of chocolate or are you made of Oreo? Right. So, so yes, this is where all of that logic would go inside of your component. And then it would, I guess at that point, I would need to hide this and never show it to them again, or at least until, what did we set it to? You set it to like year 2025 or something.
Right.
Hey, we had somebody sneak in when we weren't looking.
Somebody snuck?
Somebody snuck in.
Who snuck?
Shorty!
Hi, Shorty!
So sneaky! Oh my goodness! Hi.
All right, you're here for the cookies, aren't you?
Does it sound fine?
Yeah, we can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. How about now? Is it a little
now
better?
We can hear you.
Okay. Is it clean? I had a
Yeah,
problem the other
sounds
day.
great.
Angular Air wasn't clean.
No, that sounds good.
Okay. Not
So
that
yeah,
it was clean like crackly. It was crackly.
Okay, I was like, I don't know how audio could be not clean, but so yes, and then it would expire at that time, and I think we touched all parts of it at that point, all parts of the mean, right?
Well, we did the Mongoose. We did the Express. We did. Well, we didn't talk about. I mean, we know. I'm assuming that we all know Angular because we're an Angular meetup, right? But we didn't talk about Node, really, did we?
No.
Well, there's a MEA. We talk about Node, Alyssa. What is up with Node?
So let me show you what Alyssa knows about Node. So
okay, get ready.
This will be fun. So Alyssa knows that Joe said, hey, this is using Node. And I'm like, cool. And he was like, so when you pull it down, you need to say npm run server. And I remember the order of this command because of Forest, and it's like run Forest, so it's like run server, not server run, because I had an issue with that. Anyways, so it's npm run server, and then I open up a new terminal window and I'm like, hey, now we need to say npm start. And at that point it's going to be like, oh, so pretty.
Like, hey.
So you have npm run server is running the backend, and then npm start has to be in another window in your terminal, because the npm server, can you flip back over to the server? And npm stands for what? Node package manager, right?
Sorry,
So
I'm
npm
gonna-
is node. So that server will stay running while you have your next tab with your clients. So basically you have the client side and the server side. Is that right?
Look at these things. Look at these things are happening. I remember the API thing that we were going to name Bob.
So but you can't like open a browser window and see the server because it's invisible. It's very mysterious. Is that right? Can you?
Yeah, well, you can't see the server. No.
We want to see it.
You could try to make calls to the server if you want. Like we can make calls. Like we could
From
call
the browser
/tags and we just get back JSON. Yeah.
Let's do it. Can we do it?
What are you talking about?
Okay.
Go on a browser and do like
Go to ngdoc.io/API/tags.
I just want to see what happens. And then do we need like a .json, or will it get confused, or will it know?
Are you talking about this? Is that what you're saying?
We're just making this up as we go along. We don't even know.
Yep.
What's going to happen?
You make that.
Oh, there is. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And I've actually done that when I'm because sometimes I write client-side code. Someone else in another department might have done this API, or I'm calling somebody else's API, but I don't know what specific, like when I'm writing my view and I need to know what those parameters are. So I'll just pull up the JSON and, hi, we see Alyssa.
I'm just like so amazed right now. I wanted you guys to know how happy this makes me. Joe, why didn't you tell everyone about this before? You should be shouting this to the rooftops. He's holding his face like he's sad for me, but I'm excited.
No, I'm not sad for you.
Well, I mean, everybody starts as a beginner, and I think it's refreshing when you don't mind saying, hey, I didn't know this. Oh, I learned something new. I always learn. I've been doing this for years, and I'm still learning a whole bunch of new stuff.
So much easier than like going into your Rails console and like trying to get the data from that and look at it. Like I just like did the URL. Like I want to like type in all of the API URLs now and see what they give us.
Right.
It's so easy. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Try another one. Is there another one? Do you have these memorized? I know Joe probably has these memorized.
They're just in that routes file.
Yeah, try another one.
All right, let me screen share again, and hopefully it doesn't break.
And
like
since you're putting it in the browser, you're making a GET request. So you can only do things that are GET requests.
Okay. So we're going to go to our routes file, and we're going to make it a little bit smaller because, oh my goodness. And let's find one. So we can only do gets, he says.
And I have to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back, you guys.
Okay. API articles. I don't know what to pick. Can we just like make up a number? Yeah, let's do that one. That's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with 11 again. So did I type it wrong, or is there not a number 11?
There's just not a number 11. I think it's like the IDs and article IDs, and they're like super long. But you could like go.
Okay.
See, what would you do? I think you have to go in an admin screen to edit something, and then it would do this GET request, and then you could look at your console, look at your network tab, and see.
Are you talking about like logging in and like wait, what?
So log in. And open up your network tab after you log in.
Option I, mail, network.
Yeah, you're on XHR, so that's good. So now go to edit a single article. Edit an article in the application.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That you meant in the
do
console.
Like resource list.
A little confused.
Click resource list and then select the first one.
And we're gonna click on one and say edit, and then at this point, will
See
it be
that bottom? Yeah, that bottom request.
Oh wow, that's the ID.
There's the ID.
You, sir, are dealing with super fancy IDs.
Yeah, that's just Mongo. Mongo's doing this thing.
Wait, who's giggling at me? I can't see your faces. It's super unfair.
But you're hilarious, Alyssa.
I'm just saying. Oh, look, it's right here. I'm loving it. We're totally, wait, that's localhost because I'm on localhost, but we're going to grab that and go here and replace our number 11 because we want to see it for reals. Oh, that was.
But you need a slash. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. I feel confused. I don't know. I see white. Did I do it wrong? I feel like I did it wrong. ngDoc, API, articles, that thing. Hang on. Looking, localhost, slash, what did I do?
I thought it came up, but you switched.
Okay, so go back to your first tab and right click and do copy URL on the name. No, oh, well, you did. Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is because you're going between localhost and actual ngDoc.
Oh yes.
So the ID will be different.
I'm so sorry, everyone. Yeah,
different.
because they're two different, right? Like two different data sources, basically.
You can't do that.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I was going to ask you to make that bigger. You just read my mind. That was freaky.
Oh, Joe, thank you so much for being so patient with me. This has been amazing.
So this is actually really cool. Even if you're not writing your API, even if you're a front-end developer and you're just consuming the API, this is a really neat trick. And I actually did this. I still do this when you're trying to get those, because you're trying to make your view, right? And you're doing all your CSS and your HTML stuff, but you need to know exactly what those attributes are called.
This only works for like what? Like Node apps? Does it work for other apps? Like,
no, I mean like
because I don't think I can do this with like my Rails app, right?
If you're writing a API that you do get XHR requests to, then yes, it would be the same.
Then you can. I see.
Yeah, it'd be the same for that.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
I'm singing the whole Aladdin song in my head. A whole new world.
Yeah.
So any questions, or I feel like we are like over time, Bonnie, and I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. We will listen to you talk as long as you want. But I think you have covered it. So we've covered Node now, right? So we got Mongo, which is the Mongoose. And we have Express, which is the server magic, which I think is actually really cool because I haven't dove into Express before. So it's kind of nice to see behind the curtain and see what all that looks like. And then we know Angular, obviously. We kind of didn't really touch on that because we know Angular. And then the Node. So now we know how it all fits together and how you can serve this stuff and how you can kind of go back and forth. And
I really like it. Like honestly,
cool.
I've got a lot of friends who are like Ruby developers and they bag on Node a lot. And
well, we should round them up and beat them.
This feels like beat them.
No, I'm not really violent, you guys. I'm just funny. Yeah.
But no, so I hear a lot of crap about Node, and so it's just not as bad as I thought it would be, just because I keep hearing that from people. And so this is great, actually. I kind of really like it. So
I think in my experience, I mean, I've been doing development for, I'm not going to say how long, but a while, right? And I think JavaScript kind of always got a bad rap because the server-side developers were like kind of the cool kids. And even when I was coming up and learning this whole development thing, the server side, where all the business logic was, I mean, that's where really your powerful programming happens, right? And JavaScript was like, we had jQuery, you got a drop-down menu, and that's about it, right? So I think that JavaScript has kind of gotten a bad rap because all these years nobody really took us seriously because it's client side. There's not really a whole lot you can do. But with Node.js and with Angular and some of these other frameworks that have come out, it's so much more powerful now that now we're contenders, guys. So you can't kick JavaScript around anymore because
no, but I've actually still heard that, and I think it's a misconception for some people who aren't really exposed to like front end languages. They really like, I've actually heard it said like within the last couple of years by someone who was like a longtime developer, and he was like, yeah, we just we can't use Node because it just can't scale. It can't it can't handle and like large apps. And I'm just like, what? Like, so I think that's coming from that, like that time in web when maybe, I don't know, it could like, was there a day, I guess, when JavaScript couldn't handle large apps? And so they were like,
I don't know. especially Node, people have always said, oh, it's way slower, but the reality is if you just do things right, it's just not that bad.
Yeah.
I think some of the functionality that we have now, when it first, like, I'm thinking like when Node.js and AngularJS first came out, I'm thinking like 2012, 2013, something like that. That really, I mean, we were only using JavaScript for, hover effects, drop-down menus. I mean, basic stuff, and especially anybody that had dealt with jQuery. jQuery is great, but you can't really scale a large application because it's just not really meant for that, right? And when AngularJS first came out, you had me at ngRepeat. ngRepeat I thought was the coolest thing in the world, right? But when I wrote my first Angular app, and then everybody loved it and everybody wanted to use it, so we had more. It just grew. Like, it started out as a small thing, and then they came back and were like, "Oh, Bonnie, that's a cool app. Can you add this feature and add this feature?" And we're gonna let these other. And it just grew, and it kind of had a mind of its own. So all of a sudden, while I was learning Angular, I wrote this cool thing, and then we had to scale it, and it became an issue because had I known then what I know now, it would have been perfectly scalable. But I was a beginner, so but I kind of painted myself into a corner with the whole Sasquatch with the watchers and the digest loop, right? The digest loop is like a sports car, not a pickup truck. Don't NG all the things just because you can. But anyway, so
can we turn that into like a slogan so everyone remembers it? That was great.
But now, I mean, especially with, when Angular 2 came out and TypeScript, like, it's like we've grown up, and now that we've learned, like, or maybe that's just my personal experience, right? But when I went through that my first app got popular and grew up, and all of a sudden it got out of hand because I wasn't prepared for it to scale. And so you have people like me who have learned, right, and kind of grown up a little bit. And it's like the bad analogy that I use. It's like when you're a teenager and you really don't want to listen to your parents because they don't know what they're talking about, and we're gonna, make our own way in the world. And then once you're out in the world for a while and you learn, you circle back around and you're like, oh my goodness, I've become my parents, right? Because we learned. So now, stay with me because this makes sense. Now we have, the Angular 2, we're not calling it Angular 2, the later versions of Angular and TypeScript, right? That we have that structure. So those Ruby on Rails guys and those .NET people that were bashing on us because we were teenagers, right? We're like, braving the new world with all this front end client side single page application, and it was cool. But now we're starting to understand more architecture, and I think JavaScript is now something to be taken more seriously because we have these powerful frameworks, because we have Node.js, because we have all these things, these tools that allow us to grow up and be more powerful. And now we are running with the big dogs, and we can do whatever Ruby and .NET can do, and we're like starting to feel a little like grown-ups now. Yeah.
Are we out of the gangly phase? I just want to know, like.
It's like if you ever see those ugly duckling where, in junior high you had braces and all this, and then like by the time you're 21, you're like, woohoo, you've learned how to put on makeup, and you see the that's, I don't know if the Angular team would appreciate that analogy, but they're probably not watching this. So.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I do think it's come. I mean, not just Angular, but JavaScript in general has come so far, and we have so much more powerful. We have structure now, and we have this TypeScript. I think is an evolution, and I think it's so much more powerful so that we can scale. And I think that if you're a JavaScript developer, if you're a front end developer in general, I think that's kind of why I'm interested when you were kind of poking around with that Express thing, and I was like, oh wait, go back, because I haven't seen the other side of the API. I've consumed lots and lots of APIs, but I haven't actually written and served APIs.
Yeah.
And it's actually not that complicated when we see it, which I think is kind of fun. That's kind of why my ears perked up when you said mean stack, and I was like, well, I want to see the back end. I want to see like where that API comes from and what that looks
Joe,
like.
how long have you been doing both sides, or have you always been?
Yeah, I started as a full stack developer in, I don't know, 99.
Showing
2000.
off.
I was cool way back then.
Well, back then there wasn't front end, unless you were a designer.
What do you mean
no
there
such
wasn't
thing.
front end?
Like,
What does that even mean?
In 99, jQuery did not exist, right? JavaScript was something that you maybe did a tiny bit of validation in your web app. You might write some JavaScript to do some validation. You might use it to do DHTML. There's some fun. Go Google DHTML. Dynamic.
HTML.
Is that a
dynamic?
was that was that
Justice laughing.
That was
the new
cutting
hotness.
edge.
That was gonna be the new hotness.
Yeah, HTML was gonna be okay. Yeah, Justin, have you seen DHTML conf?
Wait,
No,
what?
I haven't.
No, wait.
Is it a thing?
Like still?
Just Google it.
All right, I'm Googling it.
DHTML conf. Is that I can't tell if he's joking or if he's now I want to go
Fasten us.
DHTMLconf.com.
HTML conf.
Let's see if it's yeah. Come on, baby.
Is this from 1999? It's left over on the internet.
It's
still loading.
It's still loading. I hope it comes up.
That's not a good sign, guys.
I haven't been here in a couple of years.
We're all gonna crash it now because everybody is going.
I know.
Dang it, no. Mine
it's not
bombed.
working.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was some joke that somebody did where it was like this website about a DHTML conference, right? And they probably built it in 2010 or 2012. But the site design is like right out of the year 2000. You know, there's flashing stuff and rotating banners and
the marquee along the top. Does it have a marquee?
It has the
That's like
the marquee.
2001.
Yep.
The flashing marquee banner.
Yep.
Wait,
Yep.
it flashes? I thought it just goes around.
Well, if you're really obnoxious, you can make your marquee banner flash.
Yeah.
I actually
learned.
I just learned that marquee was a thing a couple months ago, and my husband was telling me, we were like driving to work, and he was like, yeah, no, it's a real thing. And I'm like, so I could put it on a website right now. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not deprecated. And I'm like, why don't people use it?
People can handle the awesome.
No, but like really, like is it deprecated? Can we use it?
We can, but just because we can does not mean that we should.
I think browsers support it.
Okay, that's
Don't encourage her, Joe.
I think I know what my next addition to ngDoc will be. So thank you.
My goodness. You have to do, even if it's just for a minute, you have
to like chase the subscribe link, right? Like nope, didn't quite get it. Oh my goodness,
Hey,
I'm so sorry.
That was one of the first things that JavaScript was used for, was to move around links and move around things when people hovered over them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You could actually write some code to make it so that the mouse button runs, or the button runs away from the mouse. Yeah. Yeah. Good times.
Oh, that's so great. You
This is
you
how-
guys got to start out annoying your users instead of like satisfying them, like trying to help them.
Yeah.
Right?
Much. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Set
I
low
have totally.
expectations early.
There was
What?
what? What'd you say?
I said we set low expectations early.
That's awesome.
Much appreciated.
Well, I think we're winding down, guys. I think we've covered all of the letters in the mean stack, and I think we've answered. Well, I don't know how much education I actually did learn some stuff tonight, legit. But mostly we just had a lot of fun because I knew you were going to be fun, Alyssa. That's why I wanted you to come on, because you're such a hoot. And we got crashed. Justin crashed our party.
Oh, I'm so glad you did. And Joe, thank you so much for being my sidekick, because there were so many questions. And I'm like, I think this is Express. Like thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah. I told one of my meetup guys, I'm like, yeah, Joe Eames will be, well, it's a girl, because we called it Mean Stack Girls because we thought it would be funny like the movie, right? But we're like, Joe will be there. He may or may not be wearing lipstick, but and we got crashed by Carolyn's husband, which some of us know, and yeah. So Carolyn, it was nice for you to join us, and I hope that we weren't too loud and crazy.
This was really fun. I learned a lot. So
are you going to come back and do another panel with us?
Obviously.
and at some point, and I'm going to keep bugging you because I already like you. I don't even hardly know you, but I talked to you a couple of times and I think you're a hoot. You really need to come to a conference and do karaoke.
It would be so fun. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. And you can leave, because I know Jeff goes to conferences and leaves you home with the kids. So
I know. I should
to it's your turn.
Oh, you gotta reverse the roles. Reverse them.
Leave him home with it. Just go to the grocery store before you leave.
And
but I went to the grocery store with my husband before I left for ngConf, and guys, he bought a bone-in tomahawk. It's like, this is what happens. This is what happens when guys do the grocery shopping. There's this like massive ribeye steak.
It sounds awesome. Is it as awesome as it sounds? Because
actually, there's a picture of it, I think, on Twitter. I don't know. I'll send it. It was like I saw it and I thought it was a joke, right? I was like, that's because it's like the steak that's like this big with the bone and everything. And he said, no, put it in the cart. And I thought he was joking, and he was not joking. And he bought it and ate it. And,
like he actually ate it. Okay, that's
he actually
over the course of the whole time you were gone.
Yeah, I think
he only had to cook it once.
Oh my goodness.
Well, this has been so much fun, you guys. Thank you so much. And we did actually have more people on our YouTube live stream than ever before. We're up to like 14. I think at one point I saw 15 people, which is the most that we've had. But it's good because it's a small group, so we can be goofy. And yeah, but I think we're getting bigger each week. So thank you so much. This was fun. This was hilarious. I love you all. And
thank you.
Oh, and hold on. Jeff has a question for Joe before we break. Vim or Emacs, Joe?
I am neither. I started with Microsoft, so my editor was Visual Studio. So
wait,
I am
what?
not.
Visual Studio, is that old?
Visual Studio. Oh yeah, Visual Studio was. They had versions of it in the late 90s.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, it's been around for a long time. Oh, and one more thing before we close. I almost forgot. We need to talk. Well, I guess we can't really give a shout out for ngCruise because it's sold out. So if you really want to hear about ngCruise and you've been seeing everybody talk about this on Twitter and it sounds really cool, too bad because it's completely sold out. But we are going to be living vicariously and we're going to be watching you guys on Twitter and we're going to be super jealous. So yeah, that's it. I was going to say you should like promo your ngCruise, but your ngCruise is sold out. So better luck next year. But I don't have a ticket either. So if you guys are sad because you're not going, I'm right there with you. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much. We got Justin crashing our party. Justin, you can crash our party anytime. We got Joe the Guru. We got Carolyn on our panel and Alyssa, our guest star. You guys have been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Good night.